My roommate dragged me to a Halloween party in matching costumes. Kiss me now. My ex is watching. There are moments in life that split your story into two chapters, everything before, and everything after. For me, it happened beneath orange Halloween lights, fake spiderwebs hanging from the ceiling, and the smell of cinnamon candles mixed with cheap punch. I was standing in a ridiculous vampire costume my roommate had forced me to wear when she suddenly grabbed the front of my cape, looked into my confused eyes, and whispered the words that would change everything. Kiss me now. My ex is watching. I thought she was joking. She wasn't. And neither of us had any idea that one desperate fake kiss would uncover years of hidden feelings, old heartbreaks, painful secrets, and the kind of love that only appears when two broken people stop pretending they're okay. Before we continue, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that remind us love sometimes arrives when we least expect it, please take a moment to like this video, leave a comment telling us where you're watching from, share it with someone who loves emotional stories, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss another unforgettable journey. The strange thing about loneliness is that it doesn't always happen when you're alone. Sometimes it happens while sharing an apartment with someone who slowly becomes your entire world without either of you realizing it. I had lived with Emma for almost 14 months. Our arrangement was never supposed to become anything special. We met through an online listing after both of us desperately needed cheaper rent. She worked as a graphic designer from home, while I spent long days as an emergency room nurse, coming home exhausted, emotionally drained, and often carrying invisible scars from the lives I couldn't save. At first, we barely spoke. Then one evening she noticed I had fallen asleep on the couch still wearing my hospital scrubs. Without waking me, she covered me with a blanket and left a bowl of homemade soup on the coffee table. That tiny act of kindness became the first brick in a friendship neither of us expected. Soon, we had movie nights every Friday. Sunday morning pancake traditions. Arguments over whose turn it was to buy toilet paper. Inside jokes no one else understood. She knew exactly how I took my coffee. I knew she couldn't sleep whenever it rained because thunderstorms reminded her of the night her parents divorced. She laughed loudly. I worried quietly. She decorated every season. I forgot holidays even existed. She filled our apartment with life. Without noticing, she filled mine too. Still, there was always one invisible wall between us. Her ex. His name was Ryan. I never met him during their relationship, but I knew enough. He was charming in public. Cruel in private. The kind of man who apologized with flowers only after breaking someone's confidence. The kind who convinced people that every problem was someone else's fault. Even months after their breakup, Emma still flinched whenever his name appeared on her phone. She had blocked him everywhere. Yet somehow he always found another way to remind her he existed. New accounts. Mutual friends. Unexpected encounters. He had moved on publicly but seemed unable to let her truly leave. When October arrived, our apartment transformed overnight. Plastic skeletons guarded the hallway. Tiny pumpkins covered every shelf. She even convinced me to help carve jack-o'-lanterns despite my complete lack of artistic ability. Then she announced the news. We're going to the biggest Halloween party in the city. I immediately refused. Crowds weren't my thing. Costumes definitely weren't. She smiled the dangerous smile roommates develop after learning all your weaknesses. 3 days later she arrived carrying 2 garment bags. One contained a vampire suit. The other. A gothic vampire queen dress. We're matching. I stared at her. She grinned. You already lost. She wasn't wrong. I wore the costume. Mostly because saying no to Emma had become almost impossible. The party was held inside an old historic mansion transformed into something between a haunted castle and a luxury ballroom. Candles flickered everywhere. Live violin music echoed through the rooms. Fog crawled across polished wooden floors. People danced beneath giant chandeliers while dressed as witches, ghosts, pirates, and creatures I couldn't even identify. For the first hour everything was surprisingly enjoyable. Emma laughed more freely than I had seen in months. She looked genuinely happy. Until she froze. I noticed it immediately. Her smile disappeared. Her shoulders stiffened. Her eyes fixed on someone standing across the room. I followed her gaze. Ryan. Even from a distance, I recognized him. Expensive suit. Confident posture. The smile of someone who believed every room belonged to him. He wasn't alone. A beautiful woman stood beside him. Yet somehow his attention wasn't on his date. It was entirely on Emma. He smiled. Not warmly. Not kindly. Like a hunter who had unexpectedly found wounded prey. Emma quietly reached for my arm. Her fingers trembled. Before I could ask what was wrong, she stepped closer. Close enough that I could smell her vanilla perfume beneath the smoky scent of the room. Then came those unforgettable words. Kiss me now. My ex is watching. Time stopped. Logic disappeared. I saw fear in her eyes. Not manipulation. Not revenge. Fear. So I kissed her. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't reckless. It was gentle. Careful. The kind of kiss meant to protect someone instead of impressing anyone. When we finally separated, Ryan was still staring. Only this time. His confidence had vanished. For the first time all night, he looked uncertain. He turned away. Emma released a shaky breath. She smiled. Then, without warning, tears filled her eyes. Not because of Ryan. Because someone had finally stood beside her instead of asking her to stand alone. Neither of us spoke about the kiss on the drive home. The silence wasn't awkward. It was thoughtful. The next morning everything felt different. Not uncomfortable. Just changed. Like crossing an invisible bridge neither of us admitted existed. Days passed. Life returned to normal. Or at least we pretended it had. Movie nights continued. Coffee continued. Work continued. But every accidental touch lingered longer than before. Every shared glance carried unspoken questions. Then came the phone call. Emma's younger sister had been in a serious car accident. Within an hour Emma was packing a bag, shaking so badly she couldn't zip it closed. I drove. 3 hours through heavy rain. Neither of us said much. She simply stared out the window while quietly crying. Hospitals never frightened me professionally. But sitting beside someone I cared about inside one. That was different. Fortunately, her sister survived. Several broken bones. Months of recovery. But alive. When Emma finally learned she would recover completely, every emotion she'd been holding inside collapsed at once. She cried harder than I had ever seen. Without thinking, I wrapped my arms around her. She didn't let go. Not for a very long time. Sometimes love doesn't arrive during perfect moments. Sometimes it grows inside hospital waiting rooms. Coffee runs. Late-night grocery shopping. Helping someone survive ordinary days. Weeks later we returned home exhausted. Life settled again. Then one evening she found an old photo album while cleaning. Pictures from our first months as roommates. Us laughing over burned pancakes. Christmas sweaters. Beach trips. Birthday candles. Every photo revealed something obvious neither of us had noticed. We looked happy. Together. Comfortable. Like home. Emma looked at one picture for nearly a minute. Then quietly admitted something. She confessed that the fake kiss at the Halloween party hadn't been entirely fake. She had panicked because Ryan was there. But somewhere deep inside, she had also wanted to know what it would feel like. My heart nearly stopped. Because I had been asking myself that exact question ever since. I admitted the truth too. I had fallen in love with her months earlier. Probably around the time she made soup after one of my worst hospital shifts. Maybe even before. I simply believed crossing that line would ruin the best friendship I'd ever had. She smiled through tears. Then laughed. Then cried again. Apparently she'd spent months believing exactly the same thing. Funny how fear convinces two people to hide identical feelings from each other. Our relationship didn't suddenly become perfect. Real love rarely does. We argued over little things. Forgot anniversaries. Worked opposite schedules. Faced financial struggles. Supported each other through family illnesses. Celebrated promotions. Grieved losses. Built traditions. Built trust. Built a future. Months later we returned to that same Halloween mansion. This time as an actual couple. The decorations looked familiar. The music sounded the same. People danced exactly as before. Only one thing had changed. Neither of us cared who was watching anymore. Ryan happened to be there again. He glanced toward us briefly before disappearing into the crowd. His opinion no longer mattered. Because our story had stopped revolving around him long ago. Standing beneath the glowing lights where everything first changed, Emma reached for my hand. No pretending. No fear. No performance. Just two people who had finally learned that love isn't about dramatic declarations. It's about showing up. Again. And again. And again. Looking back now, I realize that Halloween night wasn't the beginning of our love story. It was simply the night we finally admitted the story had already been unfolding for months. Love had been hiding inside shared breakfasts. Inside grocery lists. Inside late-night conversations. Inside blankets left on sleeping shoulders. Inside soup left on coffee tables. Sometimes the greatest romances don't begin with fireworks. Sometimes they begin with ordinary kindness repeated so consistently that one day you suddenly realize you found the person who has quietly become your safest place. And perhaps that's the lesson life wanted to teach us all along. The people who rescue our hearts rarely arrive wearing shining armor. Sometimes they arrive carrying grocery bags, complaining about dirty dishes, stealing the last slice of pizza, and convincing us to wear embarrassing matching Halloween costumes. Sometimes the person who changes your life has been living just across the hallway all along. If this story touched your heart, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who believes in true love, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment telling us about a moment that unexpectedly changed your life forever. Your support allows us to continue bringing heartfelt stories like this to people around the world.